There were two young ladies killed in a car crash, two others. Driver fled. They arrested that individual today. U.S. Marshals arrested that individual today under the Trump administration, I might add, in Texas, 2 hours from the Mexican border. Okay? That person was not here lawfully. That person was not here legally. That person should have never been here. We have two young ladies dead in Champaign County, and Governor Pritzker still supports a sanctuary state.
It's Republican State Senator Chapin Rose talking about Governor J.B. Pritzker's positions now that we have a Republican president and a Republican-controlled Congress when it comes to immigration. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, live to tape here as we give you segments. The live show seems to have ended just because of some internet issues, so we'll still get you the information as we get it here with Illinois in Focus Daily. So Senator Chapin Rose,
well, first of all,
we'll actually talk a little bit more about some of what he's doing at the legislature concerning voting, so we'll do that segment tomorrow. But I asked him about Governor J.B. Pritzker's recent comments on the Trump administration's immigration policies, and in particular, how there's going to be some deportation efforts already underway. I think in day one, it was reported just under like 400 actions that ICE had taken. So clearly things are moving along, and it's expected that Chicago could be ground zero in all of this. But Chapin Rose, Republican from R-Mahomet, says that Governor Pritzker injecting himself into the national political scene here is the governor looking in the wrong place. He needs to do some reflection, Rose said.
Well, first of all, look at the mess that Pritzker's made in Illinois. Look at the fact that their sanctuary state status has encouraged illegals to come from all over to our state, and now we're up over $1 billion in state taxpayer spend on illegals. Everything from housing to healthcare. If you can get to Illinois, from as an illegal, you're getting free healthcare. Well, last time I checked, the citizens of Illinois paying for all this have to pay their premiums and pay their co-pays for their healthcare, right? You're up over $1 billion of state taxpayer support now. So then you look at the state budget and you find out J.B. Pritzker's got a $3.1 billion deficit by his own numbers. I think the number's higher myself, but by his own admission, it's 3.1. So a third of that is illegal aliens. All right. Maybe Governor Pritzker should start worrying about the state of Illinois more and less about what's going on at the federal government. That said, immigration is a purview of the federal government. It's in the Constitution set forth that way. We have no business getting in the way of legitimate law enforcement efforts of our federal ICE agents. And frankly, it comes down to safety for our communities, Greg. As a former prosecutor, I can tell you sometimes the quickest, most efficient way to handle a case was to pick up the phone, call ICE, and have them deported. All right? That was the most efficient use of our local county taxpayer dollars, was to pick up the phone and call ICE. Under Governor Pritzker, as you've seen in the last few weeks, our law enforcement's not allowed to call and tell ICE they have someone in custody. They're not allowed to let them know they're even here, right? Now let's think that through a minute. So let's assume you've got a traffic stop, and in your traffic stop, you're not allowed to inquire as to legal immigration status. And your traffic stop is for a speeding ticket, right? You write your speeding ticket and you let them go. Well, what happened if that person had an ICE detainer from another state for rape, and you just let them go in your community, in your town? And by the way, that is the law of the land in Illinois. Listen to what I just said. That is the law of the land in Illinois. Governor Pritzker, Mayor Johnson, and the rest of them are deliberately putting citizens' lives in jeopardy. It's not just the dollars of the taxpayer nonsense they've caused. That's bad enough. You're really putting people's lives in jeopardy. Did you see this yesterday in Champaign County? Over the last week, it was actually last weekend, but they announced it today. There were two young ladies killed in a car crash, two others. Driver fled. They arrested that individual today. U.S. Marshals arrested that individual today under the Trump administration, I might add, in Texas, 2 hours from the Mexican border. Okay? That person was not here lawfully. That person was not here legally. That person should have never been here. We have 2 young ladies dead in Champaign County, and Governor Pritzker still supports a sanctuary state. The mayor of Champaign and Urbana supports sanctuary cities. The mayor of Chicago supports sanctuary cities. Okay? Why, on God's green earth, are we not letting law enforcement do their job and prevent, not just the folks from coming into the United States, but also deporting the ones that are here? And I'm telling you what, right now, whether it's Lake and Riley or these 2 poor ladies from Urbana last weekend, the Democratic Party in this country and in this state are getting people killed.
Again, this is some of the conversation I had with State Senator Chapin Rose yesterday. And yesterday also, you had the U.S. House pass the Lake and Riley Act. That's after a amendment in the Senate failed, but they sent it back to the House before it went back to the president's desk, and expected he'll sign it. And if you look at the map that somebody put together here from the vote turnout, it shows that the roll call of the Lake and Riley Act, you can kind of see, makeup of the country here, right? Well, they just kind of pointed to the Electoral College map. But still, when it comes to the overall vote outcome, if you go to the clerk of the U.S. House of Representatives office website here, you can see the 2017 or 217 by 46 that voted for it, Republican and Democrat. So that put it over the top. It was bipartisan support. However, the only people voting against it were the Democrats. And if you also break it down by state, so we'll look for Illinois here, and state Congress people voted mixed. You've got Budzinski, a Democrat, voting in favor of the Lake and Riley Act, while it looks like a lot of the other Democrats voted against it, but Republicans, of course, supporting it as well. Looks like Brad Schneider did not vote that day on the Lake and Riley Act. So the Lake and Riley Act, something that is meant to say if a non-citizen is in the country and they are arrested for something like burglary, robbery, or something like that, shoplifting, then they could be held for deportation. So that's going to be on the president's desk very soon. But the Lake and Riley Act, something interesting to note, is just one element of all of this, and that's a federal law, not a state law. State law has the Trust Act in place, and as you heard Senator Rose there say, police aren't even allowed to ask somebody's status in the country whether they're legal or not, and it's the same case too for prisons. On X, Illinois Armory shared this with me. It's an internal memo from the Department of Corrections talking about how the Illinois Trust Act means that they can't communicate with federal authorities about the status of somebody's immigration. Are they here legally or illegally? These are people in custody and already being deprived of their freedoms. And if they're an illegal alien in Illinois Department of Corrections, IDOC is not allowed to talk to ICE about this. Chapin Rose, again, reiterating this point. Here he is from what I had a conversation with him yesterday.
That's what I was saying, Greg. Speeding, you pull somebody over for speeding. You're not even allowed to ask about their status, okay? And what if that person was wanted on a warrant from wherever, right? Again, the Democratic Party in this country jumped the shark a long time ago on illegal immigration. And whether it's voting integrity or literally the safety and security of our citizens, they are not doing their job for the citizens that they represent. And frankly, as a consequence, I think America figured that out and put a resounding, vote behind President Trump to crack down on this nonsense and start standing up for safety of our communities and getting these folks out of the United States.
Again, that's State Senator Chapin Rose. Some of what I've had a conversation with him yesterday, talking about the governor and his stance against the Trump administration, but Illinois law, obviously something the Pritzker administration signed, impacting law enforcement on a couple of fronts, obviously with what we saw, the memo from IDOC that's shared around online, saying you can't give ICE officials information about IDOC residents, convicts, and whether or not they're here illegally. Then you also have the Secretary of State handling, the DMV and driver's licenses for non-citizens. Apparently, the Secretary of State's office is also sending out a memo to employees that they can't share information with ICE. So Illinois law, again, precluding local officials from working with immigration officials. And it gets down to the sheriffs as well in their county jails. It used to be where a sheriff could contract with ICE to give beds to those who need detention. And Illinois law took all that away. And in particular, I think it was a Way Forward Act, which said no more ICE detention facilities being used by state tax dollars. We'll continue to watch this. It's just started right here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Again, the live show had a bunch of problems connecting to the internet. That's why we record live to tape locally so you can get the segments anyways. All right, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with Illinois in Focus Daily.
Yep.